The film begins with John Garrity, a highly skilled structural engineer, who is hard at work reviewing the blueprints for a new building project. He then heads home to his wife, Allison, and their son, Nathan, who is dealing with diabetes and is dependent on an insulin pump. Although John and Allison's relationship is strained, they do their best to put on a united front for the sake of their son. Despite their differences, they are both dedicated to providing a stable and loving environment for Nathan. The buzz of the town is the highly anticipated flyby of Clark, a comet that is making its way towards Earth. In light of this event, the Garrity family is hosting a get-together with their friends and neighbors to witness this historic moment. However, John's shopping trip for the party is interrupted by an unexpected presidential alert on his phone, informing him, Allison, and Nathan that they have been selected to evacuate to a secure underground bunker. As John rushes back home, he encounters a parade of military vehicles patrolling the streets. When John returns home to inform Allison about the presidential alert, he finds the house filled with party guests. They all gather around the TV to watch a live report of the comet's fragments hitting the ocean. Suddenly, the ground starts to shake and a massive shockwave hits the area. Frantic, John runs back into the house to see the devastating news of a fragment striking Florida. The presidential alert repeats its message on the TV, instructing the Garritys to immediately report to Romans Air Force Base for evacuation to the secure bunkers. John quickly gathers Allison and Nathan, instructing them to pack only essentials into one bag, and they set out on their journey. Along the way, they are stopped by their neighbor Ed, who warns John that the comet is actually made up of many fragments, similar to the one that hit Florida. In their haste to leave, they are approached by Deborah, who pleads with them to take her daughter Ellie with them. But John unfortunately has to refuse, as he knows that any extra passengers will not be allowed on the evacuation flights. The Garritys finally make their way towards the Air Force Base, only to be met with a massive traffic jam. In the chaos, they are forced to abandon their car and continue on foot. However, in the rush, Nathan accidentally dropped his critical medication, which he had grabbed along with his blanket, back in the car. As they enter the base, they find it swarmed by a desperate crowd demanding access to the evacuation flights. The family is granted entry with wristbands, but as they start to search their bag, they realize they left Nathan's medication in the car. John bravely sets out to retrieve it, leaving Allison and Nathan behind. In their distress, Allison reveals Nathan's medical condition to a soldier, which leads them to meet Major Breen, who breaks the heart-wrenching news that individuals with chronic illnesses, like diabetes, are not permitted on the evacuation planes. Despite Allison's pleas, Major Breen is unable to make any exceptions. Believing John has already boarded the plane, Allison tries to contact him, but to no avail, leaving the family torn apart in the face of the impending disaster. When John returns to the base, he attempts to board a plane, assuming that Allison and Nathan are on another one. However, a fellow passenger spots the medication in his hand and informs him of the rule regarding individuals with medical conditions. Recognizing the danger, John decides to disembark from the plane and get back to his family. Just then, the angry crowd breaks through the gates and rushes towards the planes, some armed and firing at the base workers. The chaos escalates as a fuel pump is dropped, igniting a dangerous fire. John takes charge and rallies everyone to evacuate the area. They start running towards the gates, just as the first plane explodes, triggering a chain reaction that causes 2 more planes to blow up, killing many people in the process. John manages to escape in time and rushes back to the car, determined to reunite with his family. Allison and Nathan arrive at the car to find that it has been broken into. Fearing for their safety, Allison leaves a message for John, directing him to meet them at her father's house in Lexington, Kentucky. John finds the note and sets off on the journey to reunite with his family. Along the way, Allison takes Nathan to a store in search of medication. Unfortunately, the store is being looted and gunmen storm the place, opening fire on several people. Allison bravely makes her way to the front, pleading for Nathan's life. Miraculously, the man relents and allows her and Nathan to leave unharmed. As they make their way out, Allison meets a woman named Judy and convinces her husband Ralph to give them a ride, but only as far as Knoxville, Tennessee. The journey is far from over, but Allison is determined to keep her family safe and find John. John continues his journey through the city and encounters numerous looters and sees Clark's fragments in the sky. He stops at a rooftop gathering in hopes of getting a better cell signal to call Allison. They have a brief conversation before the call is cut off. During the ride with Ralph and Judy, Allison shares her story of her family's selection and denial for the bunker. Ralph then tries to take advantage of the situation, attempting to kidnap Nathan while overpowering Allison. She is left behind, feeling helpless and hopeless. However, a kind family in a minivan stops to help her, taking her to the airport as she believes Ralph and Judy are headed there with Nathan. John comes across a truck full of people who are on their way to Canada. The driver agrees to drop John off in Lexington after he convinces him. On the way, John meets a young man named Colin who informs him that the planes in Canada are reportedly heading to the bunkers located in Greenland, although the locations are kept classified. However, a passenger named Lucas starts to harass John after learning that he was selected for the bunker. He believes that only American-born citizens should have been selected for the bunker. The situation escalates, and Lucas and his friend Micah begin to physically attack John. The fight causes the truck to crash, resulting in the death of Colin. John fights off Lucas and Micah and ultimately kills Lucas by driving a hammer into his skull. The traumatic experience leaves John horrified and in a state of shock. On the other hand, Allison quickly exits the van when they come to a standstill due to the congested traffic leading to the airport. Ahead, Ralph and Judy have reached the base and attempt to sneak Nathan in as their own son, using the wristbands for entry. However, Nathan speaks up and reveals that he has been taken against his will, causing the soldier to take him into their custody. Allison, after arriving at the medical camp, is aided by a soldier in searching for Nathan, who she is eventually able to find and reunite with. The next morning, John finds an abandoned neighborhood and breaks into a house to search for food and water. As he turns on the TV, he watches a news report of the continuing destruction around the world and the news that the next impact of the Clark will hit Europe, with the estimated loss of 70% of plant and animal life and over 75 million deaths. Feeling a sense of urgency, he steals a car and drives to Allison's father Dale's house. Allison and Nathan later join them after a phone call. During their reunion, Dale observes the tension between John and Allison, who reveals to Dale that John had cheated on her in the past, causing strain in their marriage. John apologizes for his actions, and the family try to come to terms with the fact that their death is imminent. However, John recalls Colin's information about the planes going to Greenland and decides to take a chance to try and make it there. They offer Dale the opportunity to come with them, but he chooses to stay in his home and face his death. John, Allison, and Nathan set off in Dale's truck towards Canada. However, they are soon met with disaster when they hear news of the incoming molten debris. Cars and people around them start getting hit by fireballs. John quickly takes charge and leads his family to hide under an underpass for safety. He also shows bravery by helping a stranger trapped in his car to reach safety during this dangerous moment. The family eventually reaches the runway and spots the plane preparing to take off. John quickly moves into action, stopping the plane with his truck and forcing the pilot to step out. In a tense moment, John pleads with the pilot to let his family on board. Despite the pilot insisting the plane is already at full capacity, Allison intervenes, imploring the pilot to let all of them on. After a moment of consideration, the pilot agrees and the Garritys board the plane, relieved to have a chance at survival. As the plane reaches Greenland, another fragment of Clark crashes into the coast, creating a shockwave that ultimately causes the plane to crash. Unfortunately, both pilots are killed in the crash. However, the lead pilot gestures towards John, indicating that there is another plane landing nearby, leading John to believe that the bunkers must be close by. He takes charge and leads the other passengers, including his family, to the airbase, where they are all taken underground just in time as the final fragment of Clark is about to hit. The Garritys huddle together, holding each other tight as the impact is felt. They wait anxiously, praying that the underground bunkers will keep them safe. After 9 months of silence from the other parts of the world, the survivors in Greenland begin to receive communication from other stations such as Sydney, New Delhi, and Paris. The atmosphere has cleared from the radiation, making it possible for the Garritys and other survivors to leave the bunker and venture out into the remnants of the world. They are filled with joy and excitement as they see birds flying by, signaling that life is starting to return to what was once a barren and desolate world. Well, that was certainly an intense film. Greenland had me on the edge of my seat with its heart-pounding moments and emotional scenes. From the realistic portrayal of a global disaster to the strong family bond, this film has it all. If you're looking for a thought-provoking and thrilling movie, this is the one for you. So, make sure to give it a watch and let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more Short Times movie recaps. See you in the next one.